and welcome back to Crumbs Doilies HQ. Now, remember a couple of Christmases ago, I made these really super cute little mini mince pie Pop Tarts. They were so delicious and cool, but Christmas only comes once a year and I want Pop Tarts all year round, so I thought I'd make some actual Pop Tarts. And they're super easy. First of all, I'm going to start making my short crust pastry. Now, I'm making my short crust pastry, which you may have seen in a previous video. I did a masterclass on it, so go and check that out. I've actually doubled that recipe, and in this case, I'm going to be using a food processor just to keep things simple. But if you haven't got one of those and you want to make it by hand, then go and check the video out. I'll put the link in the description box below. But to start with, I have 450 grams of plain flour, which I'm going to put in my food processor, along with 60 grams of icing sugar and a good pinch of salt. And I'm going to just give that a couple of pulses just to mix those dry ingredients together. That will do. So now it's time to put the cold butter in, and make sure you're using very, very cold butter. And I've actually cut these into cubes so they're easier to get through with the food processor. And I have 300 grams of that. And then with the lid on, you just need to pulse that until it forms a kind of fine breadcrumb consistency. That is perfect. So now I need to add some water, and I'm using ice cold water, about 6 tablespoons. And then just pulse that again until it starts to form clumps. Ooh. And as you can see, it is clumping together nicely, so I'm going to turn this out onto my worktop. Now I'm going to bring this together using my hands. And once it all comes together into one big lump, I'm going to give it a little knead, because I don't want it to be really super duper short like I might want it to be for a tart, because I don't want my Pop Tarts to be too crumbly and fragile. And once you're happy with your pastry, you then need to divide it into 2 even-sized pieces and wrap them up in cling film, put them in the fridge to rest for a couple of hours or overnight. When it's almost time to take your pastry out of the fridge, you can then turn your attention to the filling, and this filling is going to be a really yummy, rich chocolate filling. I mean, you can fill it with anything you want, but this is the one you're going to definitely want. So I've got a saucepan here, and I've got 45 grams of good quality dark chocolate. I'm going to add 20 grams of cocoa powder, 30 grams of light soft brown sugar, as well as 60 millilitres of good double cream, that's heavy cream if you're in the States, and then a pinch of salt. And then melt that all together over a medium heat. You've got to stir it all the time, otherwise it might catch on the bottom. And after a couple of minutes, your chocolate should be melted and all the sugar should be dissolved. So take it off the heat, and you're going to add more chocolate, 45 grams of the same dark chocolate, and then 15 grams of butter as well. And then just stir it all together until the bits and bobs have melted. Now it is rolling time. So grab one of your chilled rounds of pastry dough and flour your worktop first of all. And with a floured rolling pin, you want to roll these out to rectangle shapes, and they need to be about 2 or 3 millimeters thick. Right, that's ready. It's nice and thin, but not too thin. And now I'm going to cut my Pop Tarts. I'm going to do them 7 by 12 centimeters, so I'm going to use a ruler for that. So this is the start of my Pop Tarts, and don't forget you can use your scraps, I'd only roll them again once because they might get a little bit kind of biscuity after that. So I'm going to put my Pop Tart tops and bottoms onto a baking tray to start with. And I have my filling, which I've refrigerated, so it's nice and kind of scoopable. And I'm going to put a kind of healthy teaspoon of that right in the middle of the base of my Pop Tart. Now I also have an egg wash here, and now I'm going to paint the egg wash all around the outside of my filling. And that's just going to act like glue, so that now when I put the lids on, it'll stick. And to help it stick even more, and also happily to give it a little bit of a pretty skirt, I'm going to push it down with a fork. And the last thing you want to do, and this is really important, is you want to prick some holes with your fork onto the top of these. Otherwise there's going to be a lot of steam building up in there, and it might explode out the side and make your Pop Tarts all messy. And we're almost there, but I'm going to give them all a little egg wash just to give them a nice glaze and a bit more golden colour. And they are looking really good, but now you just need to bake them at 170 degrees C for 15 to 18 minutes until they're all golden on the top and cooked on the bottom. While my Pop Tarts are baking in the oven, I am going to make my glaze for the top, and this is going to give them that real classic Pop Tart look. So I've got 120 grams of icing sugar, which I'm going to sieve. And I'm also going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of Superwhite powder, and you've seen me use this before to get a really nice crisp white colour, and I'm just going to sieve it with my sugar. And I'm going to add 2 or 3 tablespoons of water. See how you go at 2, and then if you think you might need more, add more. And then for a bit of flavour, just 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then give that a good whisk. And it's as simple as that. That's your glaze done. So now you just need to put that to one side, cover it with cling film, and wait for your Pop Tarts to come out of the oven and cool down. My Pop Tarts are baked and cool and golden and delicious looking, but they're about to get even more exciting because I've got my glaze here and I put it into a piping bag, and I'm just going to pipe all over them in a kind of messy splat. Ooh, they look so cool. And now, just to give people an indication of what's inside, I'm also going to drizzle them with a little bit of melted chocolate. And you can also then finish them off with your favourite sprinkle. And that is the finished Pop Tart. And I think these look pretty darn good. As good, if not better, than the ones Mum used to buy me when I was a kid. But I should warn you, these are not toaster compatible. Do not put them in the toaster. If you do want to eat them warm though, it's really easy. Just whack the oven on and at a hot oven, put them in there for 5 minutes and they'll be really yummy. But I like mine cold, so I'm just going to eat mine immediately. Meanwhile, I'll be back next week, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be notified of my uploads, and I'll see you then. Bye.